All right, heavyweight, final weight class. And looking at this, I think the most anticipated rematch for me is in this weight class. And it's the Big 12 Finals rematch between Yonger Bastida and Wyatt Hendrickson. Now, before we get there, we'll go through the whole bracket. We got Greg Kerkvliet, the 1 seed, Yonger, the 2, Hendrickson, the 3, 4 seed, Colton Schultz, and the 5th seed, Nathan Taylor Lehigh. Now, there's a couple sleepers in here I'm going to mention to you, but before we get in too far into the nitty-gritty, I want to start at the high end. Who I think is going to win this weight class? I think it's going to be Greg Kerkvliet. I think he wins this weight class. I think start to finish, he's been the best guy, I believe, although there's a strong case for Yonger Bastida. And let's get into Greg first before we get into that juicy rematch that I think is bound to happen. Greg goes through Wilhelm, Grady Grease, and then Nick Feldman in the quarter. Now, Feldman, you know, he showed a little something in that Big Ten final. He got the takedown against Kerkvliet, something that he wasn't able to do in the dual mate. So Feldman is a guy improving, emerging. He's looking exactly like we thought he would look as a freshman, right? He didn't get to really wrestle at all last year because of injury. So he's kind of really rounding into form now and becoming that neutral dynamo. That guy is really a lot harder to take down than I realized he would have been. Still has some issues getting off the bottom, but man, he is really tough on his feet. So Kerkvliet can't look past Feldman there, but it's going to be a Kerkvliet win, I believe. And then I think it's a Kerkvliet win over Colton Schultz. I think Schultz goes through Hutmacher in what will be the heaviest match, I believe, of the tournament. Then Slavakuski, and then Nathan Taylor to set up the Kerkvliet semifinal, where Greg is, I think, just going to be able to just move a little bit better than Colton. Colton's got to get to those underhooks and move Greg all over the mat. I think Penn State could take a little page out of Yonger Bastida's book. How did Yonger hand fight and avoid some of the position where Colton's really tough? I think that's what Greg's going to need to do. Fire off a shot or two and win this match. But I think it's Kerkvliet's to win, and I think he does win that match. It makes his second straight NCAA final. Couple early round matchups, guys to keep an eye on. Nathan Taylor, Connor Doucette. I think that's notable. I think I think Doucette's tough, and I think Taylor, although he's been good, he's had some moments. He's had some lapses. He had a loss to Dayton Pitzer this season. So Dayton Pitzer also, you know, I have Doucette beating Pitzer in round 1, but that's an early round matchup where it could go either way. And Pitzer's someone who's been battling injuries this year, but everyone knows how tough this guy is for Pitt. Bottom half, Wyatt Hendrickson, Yonger Bastida. Is it going to happen? I think so. But I think for Yonger Bastida, the path is not, you know, super smooth. He's going to have Luis Fernandez round 2. Should be fine. Lucas Davison in the quarter. Go back and watch that Vegas final. It was Yonger that won, but it was a close match. It was not decided until late in the 3rd period. So don't discount Lucas Davison in that match. And even though he didn't have the best Big Tens, he's still a really tough guy. He's a multiple All-American for Northwestern. Now he's wrestling for Michigan. He's going to have to get by Tay Gadali, right, to set up that Yonger match. Davison's got to beat Tay Gadali, who is super dynamic, great upper body, good from the top position. He's got a win over Nick Feldman this year. Gadali is a guy that a lot of people haven't watched wrestle, but you should. You're going to enjoy watching him. And this is winnable for Gadali against Davison, but for me, I'm going with a guy that's proven it at this level consistently. I'm going Davison wins that matchup, sets up a Bastida match that I think he loses. I think Bastida gets that one done. Let's look at Wyatt Hendrickson's path. He's got Seth Nevels, Boone McDermott, then Zach Elam. I think no problems there. I think he cruises to that semifinal. Now, this is where it gets tricky. Because on the one hand, it's clear, right? Yonger won this match at Big 12s. He had the big move, and it was really no issue, right? Well, one big move, and I would say there's differences, right? There's generating your score and then going after it and getting it, and then there's, you know, capitalizing on a mistake. And we saw Yonger capitalize on a mistake there. It was Wyatt in deep on the shot, the first really deep shot of the match. and he tried a finish that is not advisable. That I think a youth coach would say you don't want to, when you have the foot on the outside, you don't want to try to step in and trip. And you definitely don't want to do it against Yonger Bastida, who could do whatever he wants on his foot. I mean, Kevin Dresser says this guy will go from one mat to the other, all bouncing on one foot, and guys can't take him down. So Yonger is dangerous there. But I think this is more of a coin flip match than people realize. And while Younger's been great, I'm going with the upset, and I'm saying it is an upset if Wyatt beats him. I've got Wyatt taking out Yonger Bastida and making the finals where he will fall to Greg Kerfleet. I don't know. You know, I take every bracket, try to take a chance or two, try to go out on a limb. And this is a little bit on a limb. But what I saw late in that match and what I saw Wyatt not get a chance to wrestle from the top position. We know that Yonger wants to wrestle on his feet. Where doesn't he want to wrestle? He doesn't want to go under Wyatt Hendrickson. That's why he went neutral, right? Wyatt's got to get into his position of advantage, which is the top position. I think if he makes that more of a factor and he's a little more cautious in how he approaches his finishes, I think he can win this match. So that's why I've got Wyatt making the final over Yonger. But it's hard because these are two of my favorite wrestlers in the country, and they are hitting in the semis. I would love to see this as a final, but Greg Kerfleet exists, and he would have something to say for it. So that's my prediction. I have Greg over Wyatt in the final. How do I have it playing out down below? I've got Yonger getting third over Colton Schultz. He already beat him once. I think he does it again. I've got Lucas Davison taking out Nathan Taylor, and I've got Nick Feldman taking out Zach Elam. Now, as we look at some of these round of 12 matchups, I've got Nathan Taylor over Gadali. Could go either way, for sure. I've got Feldman over Pitzer. Feldman, free coaching advice for Isaac. They should not go under this guy. Do not go under Dayton Pitzer. He is dangerous from the top position. Feldman will have an advantage on his feet, and I think he'll win this match, become an All-American as a freshman for Ohio State. I got Davison over Doucette, and I've got Elam over Treffin of NC State. That's how I see the heavyweight class playing out. I cannot wait for this one. There's so many great matches, but man, for me, cannot wait for that Hendrickson-Bastida rematch. But at the end of it all, it's Greg Kerfleet, an NCAA champion for Penn State at 285.